Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm honored to be the final speaker on this side of the House with regard to the motion in front of us. And perhaps just by way of context, Mr. Speaker, sir, I quite concur with the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that when we see reports, particularly in a global crisis such as COVID, the obvious question that comes out of this report is, what do we do next? And so the Honourable Leader of Opposition has alluded to some solutions that we need to look at, and I'm sure we all agree that we will look at that. But I just thought I'd just take us slightly back in history, sir, just to make one pertinent point about what do we do next. In 2018, sir, the economy was starting to slow down. By that time, the other side of the House was spending quite excessively. And so, sir, when we got to 2019, sir, when we got to 2019, the economy was in recession. It had actually taken a downturn. 1.9%, I think, was the number that was quoted by the Reserve Bank. So, sir, we were facing difficulties already. And then COVID hit. And then it showed up all the issues that had been built up over time. As the Honourable Finance Minister said, the wastage that had accumulated over time. So I know the other side of the House loves to praise themselves. They love to praise themselves, saying, "Oh, decisive leadership." One thing that they failed to say, sir, for the first time in the history of Fiji, we got budget support. For the first time, 400 million came into the system, sir, to help us through the crisis. So, no, it wasn't exactly good financial management, sir. There was a lot of assistance from our partners. Humanitarian assistance. So, let's not get carried away. I'm just taking us slightly back in history, just to make a point. Can I just make a point? The point I would like to make is this. Apart from all the changes of legislation, apart from all the things that we'd like to do, I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, what this country needs to do is seriously look at some sort of financial buffer. I always go back to the biblical story of Joseph in the Bible, sir. 7 years of plenty. So when the famine came, they were ready. He was ready. That is where Fiji needs to move, sir. That is where Fiji needs to move. We need to look forward. And what I'm suggesting, sir, and I'd love to get views on the other side, sir, because we need to attack this as a national issue. We seriously need to look at a sovereign wealth fund for the country. I know that at the moment, when I look at the budgets of the other side, the former government, they were putting aside 5 million in the budgets as an emergency fund. And that is essentially what a sovereign wealth fund is. But however, Mr. Speaker, the difference is you don't overspend and then put 5 million into them. So I thought I'd just offer that suggestion to the House, just to sort of, for something for us to think about, because ultimately, when the next COVID hits, if given the situation we're in right now, sir, we will all be climbing for coconut trees, given what happened on that side of the House, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the other thing I'd just like to do is, just from my ministry, just share, to add to the findings of the report, some of the data that they collected just in terms of the assistance that was given during COVID. And so I think we all agree in this House, despite our political views, that the assistance given to the various sectors was worthy and was appropriate. In terms of the MSME assistance that I am referring to, it was quite substantial. From the MSME support, that report that I got, the funding approved was about 48 million altogether. A lot of that went to businesses, of course, Mr. Speaker, sir. And interestingly, this is good for the Honourable Minister for Women. 54% of the recipients were men, and 46 were women-led businesses. So the assistance that came at the time, sir, was quite appropriate. A lot of people had lost their jobs. And so this assistance was very welcome. And we acknowledge the work of the government in actually providing that assistance. I am told that in carrying out that, the provisioning of that assistance, there was a multi-sectoral approach. We had the Ministry of Finance, the Fiji Institute of Accountants that assisted in terms of assessing of the loans, women in business, Fiji Chamber of Commerce, Fiji Commerce FCEF, Reserve Bank of Fiji, and the Fiji Revenue Customer Services. Some of the entities that actually supported the initiatives. And I just thought I'd share that here, sir, and just to place on record the gratitude for all of those that assisted in giving up their free time and weekends to actually ensure that these loans were processed and that the people that needed loans got loans at the appropriate time. Also, I'd like to just acknowledge the people in the Ministry of Trade and Commerce as well, like the other minister said. They actually also had to spend the long hours in the office processing all the business permits and licenses that had to come out during that hard time. Some of them actually resigned after the crisis was over because they were just so exhausted, sir, from all the work they had to do at the time. So we acknowledge them as well on this side of the House and thank them for their service to their country. And I think we all agree that it is indeed appreciated in terms of everything that the civil servants of this country did in a very trying time. With those few words, sir, I'd like to support the motion before the House and thank everyone for their contributions today, sir. Naksaki.